Man, you know what it is, man. It's your boy Pofsky, Underground World. We here at a very special location today, man, with the Bootleg Kev, the one himself, man. Bootleg Kev at the Bootleg Podcast, man.
Yes, sir. What up, man? What up?
What's going on, my boy? How you feeling?
Shit, chilling, bro. Tired.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so you're saying you got the pizza spot opening up, right? Kind of busy with that today?
Yeah. There's a place in Burbank we're opening called WhatUpDough Pizza. So that's right across the street from Porto's, and it'll be open. The plan is March 1st, but between the 1st and the 7th is kind of our wiggle room.
Okay. And who you got working on that with you?
It's me, my pizza guy named Justin Piazza, who's one of the big pizza chefs in the country, and then my business partner is Brandon Scales, and my boy S. Dot, who's a big hip hop photographer out here.
Okay.
So it's four of us all together.
That's fire. Who came up with the name, man? How'd that name come
My guy
about?
Justin, the pizza man. He's came to me with the concept maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And he had a bunch of restaurants in Phoenix that he ended up passing off to his ex-wife. So he came out here, delivered us some pizza, and we started talking. And I was like, yo, let's do a pizza spot. I said, go find a place. And then 30 minutes later, he called me outside of Porto's, and he's like, I'm looking at an empty pizzeria.
Sheesh.
So perfect location. So we locked it down, and it's been stress ever since.
Yeah. That's fire, though. Like, it seems like you really got a passion for, like, business outside of the radio stuff, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, all this shit is, you know, like, you can't just have all your eggs in one basket, because I've seen so many people, like, burn out, or, like, what if I get tired of being on camera and talking on the radio? Like, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So it's just having other stuff going on, you know, like, instead of, like, buying, like, fancy shit or cars, I'd rather open like a new business, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm on, is just like expanding my footprint entrepreneurially, and the podcast and the radio show I just do because I love, you know? I mean, look, I make money off them for sure, but they're very, you know, I just still do them because I love them, you know? So,
Right. So how do you manage, like, not getting burnt out while doing so much at this time, though?
that I don't know. I'm still figuring that
That's
out.
the key, right?
Because I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just like making sure you have good people around you to like help delegate tasks to.
Mm-hmm.
Time management's important. You know, I try not to waste my time with like, I used to be a big gamer. I haven't played a video game and I don't even know. Every once in a while I'll play like a game of Madden or something with my kid, but you know, I've bought so many PlayStation games that I've yet to play, let alone beat.
Mm-hmm.
So my son takes advantage of, I'm like, oh, let me get the new Spider-Man game that I'll never play.
That's hella funny.
So I try to, you know, I try to delegate my time. No, I was just saying, like, you know, it's very, you know, it's just important not to waste time, you know, like if I got you know, time in the afternoon or time in the morning to bullshit on Netflix or something, I'm like, let me get ahead on work, you know?
Yeah.
So that way I'm not stressing. Because I've had times where I've been stressed the fuck out trying to do too much, you know. So,
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything you do like outside of business and the podcast? that
yeah,
you
I mean,
do
I
for
gamble on
yourself?
sports, which, you know,
Yeah.
I love sports gambling. I love, I'm a big sports guy, so I love watching basketball and football and.
Right. Your son plays sports, right? I see a little bit.
Yeah. I just like, if anything on Sundays, I like to watch football, and then if the Suns are playing, I try to put that on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean. Really, like, hobby wise, I guess just building businesses is my new hobby. Like, I like just kind of, you know, if I have free time, I'm usually here, or lately I've been at the pizza place a lot, you know, so
Yeah, I don't think people know how much time it really takes to set up a new business and all that
Oh,
behind
yeah.
the scenes
Especially
work.
the restaurant game. The restaurant game is fucked, but it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool. It's worth the juice is worth the squeeze. So it's just
Amen.
yeah, it's been good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely time consuming.
So tell us a little bit about, because I know you have the nightclub right in Arizona. You were telling me about the restaurant out there. Can you kind of just list out like what outside ventures you have outside of the podcast? What's all?
Yeah,
going
so
on?
obviously we have the podcast, we have the syndicated radio show. We have the syndicated shows in like 74 cities right now. We have my studios, which Ready Set Studios. We have 4 rooms in North Hollywood that I rent out. And then my label, Ready Set the Label, which is my artist Alexcis, who I've been working with since 2018. And we just did a deal with Empire 2 years ago. So we're about to drop our second album with Empire. And then I have a nightclub in Scottsdale called 1111, which has been open for a year and some change. And we just kind of added on to the club because we got the space next door and opened like a soul food restaurant called Well Seasoned. So that's been open for a month and some change. And a pizza place. And then I dabble in the psilocybin game a bit too. So
Cool.
Yeah.
When you go to these new businesses, how do you go about picking your partners and weighing out your risks when you get into new situations?
For sure. Yeah. So like I had opportunities to get into the nightclub game like many times, especially in my hometown. But it was more about the right opportunity with the right people.
Yeah.
So for me, like the two guys who I bought my club with, Corey and Davion, I've known Corey since I was 18. And Davion since I was probably 23. So we've been locked in for a long time, and those guys kind of run the nightlife scene out in Phoenix. So when the opportunity was presented, I checked all my boxes. I was people I trust, people who I knew would be able to handle shit without me being there. And so that was kind of the perfect partner situation for there. And then the restaurant thing here, it started with just me and Justin, who's the pizza guy. And then I picked my other two partners because I was like, we need some capital, but I also need people who bring something to the table besides money. Right. So, Brandon is one of my closest friends, and so is Serge S. So, I was like, who can I bring to the table that is gonna like put sweat equity into this thing? Who can I trust? For me, it's about trust, and it's about more than money. Because, anybody can bring money to the table, that's not what's important. It's easy to find money if you really want to find it, but it's hard to find people you trust. So, I think the number one thing is just people you trust, people you want to be around, people you want to work with, Right. Like I don't want to be annoyed if I have to talk to somebody about something. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing this with people I love and trust. So it's a pleasure to do business with them.
Right. So, and not so serious, right? Like we get here to your studio and it's joking around, it's having fun. It's not like so fucking uptight all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely not uptight. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We're definitely definitely not uptight. That's for sure.
For sure. No, and I think that's dope. It provides a dope workspace for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool to see you as well, like hustling on your podcast, doing something like this with us, and then go into the business right after, like really putting that time in yourself.
For sure, for
pretty hands off.
Yeah, I probably work like between everything I got going on, man. I probably am doing 12 to 14-hour days every day. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sundays I work like 3 or 4 hours, but I haven't had a day off in 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Like even if I'm on vacation, I'm working. Like I'm in my room recording a radio show. I'm on the radio 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Right. So
tell people a little bit about that, right? Like how does that work being syndicated on radio? You kind of saying you record it and send it out, right?
Yeah. So I just, me and my co-host James, we do a radio show every day that is nationally syndicated through Premier Networks. We're on in LA, we're on in Miami, Tampa, Vegas, Phoenix,
Oxnard. Shout out to Q95.9 Mambo.
I mean, really Cleveland. I mean, wherever you can think, we're on in some capacity for the most part. Atlanta. So we're on a lot of dope cities. But we're on I think we're in 74 markets now. It's about to jump up probably 3 or 4. But yeah, we just do a radio show, a daily show. It's some places carry the show at night. So sometimes we're on 7 to 11. Some places we're on 2 to 6 p.m. or 3 to 7 p.m. We're on mornings in a few places. So we cut our radio show and it gets sent out to all of our affiliates and they run that show. So if you're whatever city you're in, if you hear the Bootleg Kev show, it is, we recorded it.
Straight from the source.
In LA.
On the shit, yeah. That's fire.
It's not live.
Right.
Yeah. But, right. It's not possible to be live because we're on in so many different places at so many different times. So
yeah. And so let's jump back even a bit, right? Before you making this jump, going fully independent, can you tell me a little bit about your early days, right? Like I know about you kind of selling stuff and kind of getting that kind of start in the streets, right, or whatever. But,
yeah, so I just started off in my hometown. I was, I started off doing this class at my school called EVIT, or not this class. There was a school called EVIT that I went to for radio broadcasting as my elective. Mm-hmm. So I leave my home school for 2 hours every day, and I'd go to this other place and do this radio broadcasting class. So I did that. I think it was senior year. And then it kind of got me into radio. But at that same time, my boy kind of put me onto the internet because I didn't have internet. And so he put me onto like these message boards and shit where you could download mixtapes and albums early. So then we started burning CDs and selling them. And I got the idea. I was like, yo, we should go to the swap meet. You could get a spot at the swap meet for $25. So
$25.
yeah, it's just like a space. It's like a parking space.
Yeah.
So you just set up shop. So
that's crazy.
We set up shop with like probably like 100 copies of Game's documentary album before it came out, like probably 2 weeks before it dropped.
What year was this? Like 2000?
Probably 02, 03. I don't even know, dude.
Okay.
Well, let me think. If I graduated in 05, it was probably 05.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably 05. Or 04, 05.
I was born in 97, so I was a young boy then.
Yeah, so we sold, I was like, yo, let's go to the swap meet and let's try to sell a bunch of copies of this album. And we sold out in like an hour.
Damn, because everybody knew who the Game was, like knew it was coming out. And
I mean, look, obviously extremely illegal, you know.
Right,
but,
of course. But you was getting it.
I was like, cool, we're getting
like,
some money. And then I wanted to expand. And so I started to do mixtapes and tons of different albums. So I bought a printer. I bought a CD burner that could handle, I think I did 3 CDs at a time. And so then I had to swap meet every weekend. Mm-hmm. Sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, 4 times a week. So I would be selling like all the Gangsta Grills and all the Southern Smokes and the G-Unit radios and then all the albums before they would drop. Mm-hmm. Because back then, once the CD got pressed at the plant, it would end up online. Yeah. That's how CDs used to leak.
Yeah. So someone there would just have it or whatever.
Because the CDs would have to get printed up somewhere.
Yeah, and then everyone just has
someone would keep a copy, I'm sure, and upload it.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of got started with the name Bootleg. Well, that name did not get bestowed upon me until a few years later when I was doing radio. But yeah, I went from that. Then I started selling like the picture tees that were hot back then with the iron transfers. And then we were doing the shoes, like Dunks and Jordans. And we were doing fake jerseys. Now everybody I fucking can't stand fake jerseys because you'll see people wearing them at the game. You're like, that's the most atrocious $30 eBay jersey I've ever seen. Yeah. But when I was getting them, like nobody knew fake jerseys existed. So
yeah.
So I was getting all the NFL jerseys for like $20 and flipping them for like $1.50 because they were triple stitched.
Jesus, that's a big margin.
Yeah, we were murdering it. But then every once in a while, like jersey shipment would get hit by customs. Now they'd be like, you can fight to try to get your shit back, or it's ours.
Yeah, cut the losses.
So that was kind of how I was making money early on, and that was kind of what supported my radio career because I worked for free at the radio station for almost 2 years. So
in Arizona.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so I was bootlegging shit on the side, and then I had a newborn baby, so.
How'd you get that first opportunity to even work at the station for
free? I went to school in high school for radio. So when I graduated, I already had like a good little resume. I knew I knew a lot about radio for someone who's turning 18.
Yeah.
So I graduated in whenever graduation was, May or June. And then I started as an intern in August of 05. So that was like right when I got out of high school. So I, while we were at our other school, we would like put a resume together, send it to the station. Mm-hmm. And then my boy ended up getting hired at Power and put the word in. And yeah, I was there for like 3.5 years. And then I went to Boise, Idaho, which just was fucking terrible. I was there for
radio?
Yeah, I was there for a year, and then I moved to Vegas, which was cool. I was there for a couple of years, and then I went back to Phoenix to my old station. Then I was in Tampa, and then LA. So I bounced around a little.
And was that as a result of just kind of finding your right different
Yeah,
homes
radio,
and
like the thing is about radio is like radio's you really got to know that you're gonna have to move to level up. You know, it's like you know, people start in smaller markets, and that's how you get the experience, and then you try to move up.
Yeah, if you get an opportunity here, you got to go take that.
For sure. Yeah. So for me, it was like everywhere I lived, I never really planted too much roots because I was like, I know I'm gonna move when the better thing comes up. So
yeah,
not everywhere, but you know, Boise, I was like, I'm not staying here. This shit sucks.
Right.
So I was there for like a year and got the fuck out of there. So.
And how does your, like at that time, that age, kind of starting interning, getting into the game, how does that vision of what you wanted, like, compare to what you're doing now? Are you doing what you wanted to do? Or is it
I mean, that and much more. I mean, I probably achieved whatever my dream was back then. I don't know, like fucking 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, I don't, you know, I always just wanted to get hired with a salary. You know, that was my goal, was like, how could I get hired and make 35 grand a year, you know? So once I got like enough money to support myself off of radio, it was kind of like, okay, I figured it out, you know? Everything else has just been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really probably sit back and think about that too much, but yeah, I mean, I probably, you know, you just kind of, the dream or whatever you envision yourself doing evolves. There was a point in time where I wanted to be a program director and run a radio station, and like, I would never do that now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But you know, 10 years ago, that was like, if I did that, I made it for real, you know?
Right.
So yeah, things evolve, but yeah, no, I mean, I'd be pretty stoked if I knew what I was doing now, for sure.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah.
How was your jump from radio to being independent? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd always had like a cool YouTube channel going wherever I was at. I was like one of the first guys to put my interviews on YouTube. It was me and a guy named Peter Parker. We had these in the flip cam era. So,
I remember that shit. With the USB that came out the side? Yeah, I remember that.
So if you go back, like I got interviews with Kendrick and J. Cole and just everybody and their mom from like 2010.
Damn.
And it was all off of a flip cam. And so like I kind of got entrenched into like the blogosphere. My interviews were always up on the blogs like Rap Radar and Two Dope Boys and Now Right and all that shit. So I kind of knew, I was like, all right, well shit, this is dope. I always wanted to make sure like I was heavy on YouTube. And, you know, everywhere I worked besides LA, I was able to put all my content that I shot at the station on YouTube. But in LA, I helped build the station's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which was fine. Because I was in LA now, so I had access to more artists or whatever. But yeah. I wanted to do a podcast for a long time. I even recorded 2 or 3 episodes once. And I just like, what happened was I was going to do, so I announced I was doing a podcast, and the first episode was with Adam 22. We actually shot it at my house. This was like 2018, maybe 19. And Noriega had hit me, and Nori was like, yo, we're about to do this Drink Champs Network. Don't drop your podcast. We want you to be one of our first podcasts. So that whole process ended up being like a year of like them shopping around this network and me like getting unmotivated to do a podcast anymore.
Yeah, because you're just waiting on somebody else at that point. Yeah.
Which I shouldn't have did. Shout out to Nori for, believing in me. Nori's been the homie for a long time.
Yeah. That would have been heat, right? Like it would have been.
Yeah. But it worked out for the best. So during the pandemic, so February of 2020, I got my recording studios up the street on Cahuenga. And then in March is when the pandemic hit and everything got shut down. So I had the studio space. We were the only studio still like really kind of open. Not the only. There were some other ones operating under the radar, but we never closed. But we weren't allowed to have in-person interviews at the radio station because of COVID. Right. So I was like, man, I'm gonna just start my podcast finally. Fuck it. Like I'm gonna just pull the Band-Aid off and have people pull up to my studio because, you know, at the time, iHeart can't tell me if I can have people at my shit.
Of course.
So that was what kind of pushed me over the edge to start doing the podcast on my own. And like the first episode was Freddie Gibbs. And
you guys have a great relationship,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
I remember we met at the highlight room for the scam event, and I remember him popping up that night.
Yeah. Fred's like one of my best friends.
That's fine.
Love him. So we started it, and it just kind of leveled up. And instead of me putting all the effort into like Real 92.3's YouTube channel and using all my relationships to get interviews for the radio show, I was now putting all that effort into like my shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it pretty immediately, not immediately, probably 3 months in, I realized, oh, I might making more money off this right now than I am off of the station.
Yeah.
I just re-signed a new deal with them. They let me go in. So I signed in May of 2020. I got laid off because they fired like 2,000 people in December.
Jesus.
But it was all good because I was not tripping. So I got laid off.
Here, yeah.
I got laid off, and then I started a syndicated show with 5 markets: Phoenix, Pittsburgh, Oxnard. Who are the other 2? They're gonna be mad. Phoenix, Pittsburgh. Oh, Tampa. And Phoenix, Pittsburgh, Tampa. There's another one I'm forgetting. Oh, Vegas.
Okay.
So I was back on the radio. I kind of chilled out on radio for a couple of months. I launched the syndicated show in February or March of 2021 with those 5 markets. Mm-hmm. And fast forward 2 years, we're on in, 74 cities. And I'm back on in every city that I ever was in.
Independently now.
Yeah. Even like places that fired me, So
that's badass.
Yeah. It's like, but it's cool. Like that's what's important, not to burn bridges in the entertainment industry, because
yeah.
It's like even like some of the guys who had let me go in the past, like they put me, like I called them because I had great relationship, like, hey, I'm gonna launch this venture, and they're like, yo, we got you.
Right.
So, yeah, now we're doing the radio show daily, and the weekend show runs on the weekend, and the podcast is thriving, and then everything else is fun too. So
yeah, I would say you have probably one of the most incredible like relationships with artists, it seems, especially independently. Like, can you speak on that and like you said, not burning bridges, like kind of both ends of that spectrum a bit?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, the way I look at it is like, there's a way to, there's people have different business models. Like my business model is like, I'm a relationships guy, right? So it's like, I want people to know if they come on my show, like it's like a safe place for them. Like I'm not gonna release anything that they don't want out.
Right.
I'm not gonna try to stir up a bunch of controversy for clicks. They could just come through and we're just gonna have a good time. And if 2 days later they're like, "Hey, can you cut that part out?" I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, no problem."
Right.
But I've always been pretty good at building relationships in the business. It all kind of goes back to like my early radio days. I always had like an underground specialty show wherever I was at. So I was able to break a lot of artists first and like play a lot of, at the time back then was like underground rap.
Yeah.
And then it, some of those guys ended up still staying underground, or some of them ended up being Kendrick Lamar.
I was going to say like a Kendrick, like you had these early relationships.
Yeah. Or even like Freddie, like I was playing his shit in 2009 on Ready Set Radio, my hip hop show. So like, it's like that show kind of helped me build relationships with guys like Freddie, because Freddie, we just been rocking ever since, so it's a lot of like stuff like that. Just like I look at relationships as like the most important currency you have in the music industry. And I still consider myself a part of the music industry. I know I'm not, I have a YouTube channel, but I'm not a YouTuber.
Right.
So, the YouTube shit comes like second or third in terms of like what I care about. Like I'd rather not release an interview than release it and get 200,000 views and make someone look crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of I approach it a little differently because I've been in this shit for a long time.
Right.
And I didn't come up through the internet. I came up through the actual music industry through radio. So I approach it just a lot different than like other channels, you know?
Yeah.
So other platforms like Adam does things his way, but Adam came up through the internet.
Right.
You know?
And that's successful for what he's
Fuck
doing.
yeah, he's killing it.
You know, yeah.
But like I have to stand over here Monday through Friday doing a radio show, you know, and I'm still like very much in the music industry and other facets than just creating content. So
totally,
what works for him doesn't work for me, and vice versa. So
yeah, and you're doing things like working with Alexcis and DJing
right.
and having a nightclub.
100%. Yep.
Right, and even a lot of these artists who are coming on your show, they might be coming to the nightclub, right, or all these different things.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, so that's the other thing is like, you know, for my club, like I'm not getting the same rate everybody gets. Right. So when I book an artist, I'm not paying what everybody else pays.
Right.
So, you know, it's like a one hand washes the other type situation. Like people look out for me, I look out for them, vice versa. So
yeah, I think a lot of people these days are way too quick to just get that quick bag or just kind of do things for that immediate look versus the long term. Like, what could we do together? How could we really
yeah, for
build,
sure. I think
know?
that's, you know, anybody who's leading into a relationship and it's money based initially, usually those they're not very withstanding long relationships. You know, it's like if there's money to be made, it'll happen. But I'd rather fuck with you first and then cool. If we can make money, we can make money. But you know,
like you say, you don't want to have to do business with someone you're annoyed to do business with.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of where it's at. Like, I think you got to kind of look at everything through the long game lens. Cause if you're just about hitting licks and shit, you're going to fucking burn out.
Yeah. You're going to hit a dead end at some point.
Like a lot of people like try to pay me for interviews. I won't do it. Like I won't take money for interviews. But if I was somebody else, I might be like, yeah, cause I could run up a bag.
Right.
But then my platform will get watered down, or if anybody knows they could pay to come on my podcast, it's like, then what does it mean? You know, it's like it's not the same. So
of course.
That's kind of how I approach the whole shit. You know, it's like some people you could pay to get on their platform. That's their business model. My business model is different. So
yeah, for sure. And how do you even navigate like all the people that want to come on your platform? I'm sure it's way more than you can.
I don't check. My DMs are unchecked.
Yeah. But even like the big artists, I mean, like I'm sure there's people you're shooting for.
I mean, I just set it all up myself, or there's text messages. I'll text everybody back, or
you're pretty hands on with the booking.
For sure,
that's really dope.
I pretty much handle all my own booking.
Yeah,
100%.
That's hella fire, man.
People reach out, I put them on the calendar, send it to my team, say, hey, we got something this day, and then that's it.
So who is your team? Can you like speak on the team behind Bootleg Kev Podcast?
Yeah, the podcast, it's me, not Arza. Arza be driving me around though. Shout out to Arza. It's me, my guy Eric LaRock, who edits and uploads and manages the channel, and then Cyrus, who just shoots everything.
Okay.
So that's it. It's three of us. But Cyrus is physically here. Eric's in Florida. He used to be here. So Cyrus will shoot the interview and then upload it to Dropbox, and then Eric takes it from there. And then, but yeah, I don't have anybody doing any of my booking or anything or setting up stuff. I do all that myself.
Yeah, and you find that better? Like you don't find a need to like want
to? No, yeah, I'm straight with it now. I mean, I haven't thought to myself like, dang, because at the end of the day, like I want to be I want to be my own quality control, you know. So
right, because then you're giving somebody else the power to say yes and no to things and shit.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and I just, you know, I would rather just set it up, you know, like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. So somebody else we're going to highlight today while we're here is your artist, Alexcis, right? Yeah. So can you speak on a little bit about him, like how you guys met, what he has going on? And...
Yeah, I met him, I had a homie of mine bring him up. Who was it? Was it Lifted?
Lifted and Trap.
Yeah, so Lifted. My homie Lifted had asked me if I heard this kid from Phoenix named Brown Boy Maj. Lifted produced like Kanye's Mercy. He's a Phoenix producer, but he used to be with Good Music and shit. So I was like, nah, I never heard of him. He's like, oh, he's dope. You should check him out, whatever. And like, shit you not, probably the next day, he had did a hook for this dude in AZ named Gmo. Mm-hmm. And it popped up on my Instagram. And I just remember the video. It was the music video. And I heard the hook. I was like, oh, this kid's crazy. Who is this? And I saw the kid's name. I was like, I think that's the kid that Lifted was telling me about.
Yeah.
So I think I DM'd him, and we were just staying in contact for a while. He was working with some struggle dude out in Vegas, and I was just telling him like, hey, send me your shit. And he was sending me stuff that was unreleased, and I was like, oh, I hear it, And then we met in Vegas. I was out there. I don't even know why I was in Vegas, but it was one of my Vegas trips. I was out there on a sick one, and we linked up and had sushi at like 4 a.m. And, I just let him know. I was like, hey, if you get out of your deal, let's work. So he got out of his deal, I think. We forced him out. I don't remember what happened, but he's out. Yeah, he's with me.
That's all that matters.
And I told him to come to LA to work for like a week, and the fool never left.
Yeah.
So I've been working with him ever since. So we dropped an album in 2019 called I Hate You to the Moon and Back. That did really well. The record Chico's got like 15 million total streams. It's
nice.
Wiz is on it. Wiz did the video for us. We recently did a partnership with Empire.
Mm-hmm.
That album dropped November of 2022. His first album, Empire, dropped then.
Okay. That's the one that got that record with Jakarta on it and shit?
Yeah, and we had a big record with T-Pain on there.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then his new album's coming out in March. So, yeah, we're just working, man. He's dope. We got a lot planned for the new year. We got a whole other album already finished that's got like Tory Lanez on it.
Sheesh. Nice. He was just playing us some fire and release shit. I don't want to say who with, but
yeah, no, look, his album's coming out in like a few weeks. So the new album's got like Simba. It's got Trinidad, MB Nell, Zoe Salma, and a few others. But yeah, it's
Simba record was crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, his new album, Who Do I Run To, will be out in March, and yeah, this whole year we're just gonna kind of be pretty relentless with the content and the releases. So yeah, so that's kind of how the Alexcis thing fleshed out. Because I had worked with an artist previously, and it just didn't. I didn't do no paperwork. I was just helping this kid and kind of put him on, to be honest. And I left a bad taste in my mouth. So I was like, if I ever work with another artist again, it's got to be somebody who really like fucking impresses the fuck out of me. And Alexcis, the way he records, the way he could record 20 songs in like 2 hours, it's crazy.
Sheesh.
And his melodies, his songwriting is fucking prolific. So
for real.
Yeah.
Remind me of damn near like a Jeremiah vibe. Like on
he's hard. He's hard.
Vocals.
Yeah, he could do so much. Right. His range is crazy. The type of shit he could do. So
yeah.
So that's kind of what we're all about. Trying to get his album out.
That's fire. I remember one of my favorite interviews I watched of yours that I've watched back a couple times was with Ace.
Ace, which Ace?
The manager, Corday's manager, right?
Oh, Ace, yeah.
Yeah, I love that interview. I just felt like he was kicking a lot of cool game. He was damn near interviewing you a little bit too. Like, can you speak on some stuff kind of like you were in that interview, just about any game you could give for artist managers or building that team, especially now that you're working with Alexcis,
Yeah, man, I think, one thing I would tell artists is just make sure you're not wasting anyone's time. That's the number one thing. If you're not fully committed and you're not willing to do 10 times as much work as everyone else, then don't waste anyone's time. Mm-hmm. 2, make sure your team also is very, very, like, be clear what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
Like, don't give someone 10% just because they're your quote unquote manager. Make sure you understand the value they bring to their table. Make sure they're working for you. And also just be very careful with like where you spend your money. Like, a lot of people are out here still selling like blog placements and shit that's dated that just isn't going to move the needle for you.
Yeah, there's no ROI on that shit at all.
So it's like, I would tell artists, like, make sure you have somebody who's forward thinking and understands that this is always an evolving game, and helping someone to help you navigate through that's important. Otherwise, especially if you have like an investor, like I've seen so many artists just blow through investment money and end up with their dick in their hand at the end of the day, and like being able to say they were on lyricallemonade.com or something, you know.
Right. With
which is cool. Shout out to those guys, you know, those nice guys over there. They posted Alexcis a lot, but
no, of course.
But you know, it's like there are like ways to set money on fire, like in the music industry, quick, because you think that it's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And what you were supposed to do 5 years ago is not what you're supposed to do today.
Right.
You know?
Is there any, I know it's an interesting question because it's a very personal strategic thing, but like, is there any game you can give on the opposite side of that? Like what's kind of somewhat of a right strategy to do, or even some of the right things to do when promoting music? When,
I think the most important thing is,
like, what are the right things to pay for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, look, I think your music videos should look good. I think if you need to have somebody who can show you how, like, if you're not social media, I think every artist needs to learn how to use CapCut.
Amen. Yeah.
Every artist needs to go buy a tripod for their phone.
Yeah.
I think if you drop a record and you believe in the record, don't get discouraged if it doesn't do what you want it to do immediately. I think people should like drop 3 or 4 pieces of content a week to push a release. Mm-hmm. And those should be shit you shoot on your phone, you know? But your music videos, I think instead of people paying for like a fucking, you know, a Gucci belt or some bullshit, like make sure your video don't look like shit, you know? Like go on Peerspace and find a cool spot that'll make your shit look cool.
Come to underground production studios.
And like this is the other thing though, like also don't expect much ROI on music videos because, you know, the music videos, again, the ROI on a music video isn't what it was 5 years ago or even 3 years ago.
Right.
But you got to kind of look at it like it's a piece of content that you could repurpose over and over, and it's like a commercial to your brand, you know? So,
yeah, it's part of it. It's not all of it, but it's part of it.
I wouldn't spend any money on any playlisting because it's all bullshit, and you might get flagged by Spotify and they'll delete your music.
That's big game right there for any artists listening, man, for real.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet is there's a website called chartmetric.com that you could pay for. I think it's like $50 a month. And it gives you access to all the back end on any artist you want. So if you think you sound like, let's say you're an artist, you think you sound like Post Malone or somebody who's like super underground niche-y in that lane, you could go and look up their profile on Spotify. You could see like their top 100 playlists they're on that are independent.
And pitch to them.
Oh, you could try to figure out how to get a hold of those people.
Right. Submit to them, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it's tedious and it sucks, but I mean...
That's a real way to do it, though.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good game.
That's the practical way to do it. I wouldn't, artist, I would never spend any money going to radio. Radio's the last thing any artist should worry about. It used to be like the first or second thing. Not anymore. If you are not, you're competing with Drake and The Weeknd to be on these playlists. Don't worry about it. Your career is not going to get made or broken off of that. Now, what can work is if you're dope, and when I said blog placements earlier, I didn't mean Instagram blogs. I meant traditional
websites.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think there is, you know, if you can find like smaller, like niche IG pages to buy promo on, that shit works.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there. Shout out to like my boy Charlie Cinco with the Aux Connect. Like he's very affordable promo.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of promo actually works. Like
it does.
There's what's his name? BFB the Pac-Man blew up off of a Sean Cotton post he paid for. He paid $200 for the post.
Right.
So it's like, you know, if you're a Mexican artist, I would go find all the small Mexican Instagram food pages you can that are on the come up with 40, 50, 60,000 and just, you know, drop $500 in promo on a release.
Yeah, get 10 spots, shoot them 50 each and run it.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like that shit I would spend money on before I'd spend money on like fucking fake playlisting or being on complex.com or...
Because everyone want to look like they got the streams and they're popping, but it's like it's not even real.
It doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter. It's like, bro, like...
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I would say for sure. So those are the things that I would do.
For sure. That's dope game. I appreciate you.
And boost your posts, you know, if like you put up a reel or something, boost it, you know?
Yeah. Like what Lil Russell doing, man. I love how you was kind of saying just with the video phone content. Like that's it right now. You know,
100%.
You can repurpose shit a million times. So very dope, man. One of the last things I want to get into before we wrap it up, bro, is just your thought for like the future of Bootleg Kev and the Bootleg Kev podcast. Like, do you want to open more nightclubs and more businesses like that? Like anything that you have in the works? Any more plans? Any more artists you want to interview?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year we're gonna do a lot more like vlog content, like off-site content.
Like, like the shit you do with Youngboy, right?
Yeah, like we did one with Burner, we did one with OT, and then we did the Youngboy shit, and all three were very successful. So we're gonna do more of that. I'm gonna probably launch like another channel that isn't me dependent.
Yeah,
that's still being able to shoot cool stuff with artists. I kind of want to do some cool food shit with artists that's like real easy to shoot. So I'm probably going to launch another YouTube channel for sure this year.
Maybe something tied in with your restaurants or something.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, not necessarily, but it's going to be like I have my idea. And so, yeah, we're going to definitely launch another YouTube channel. And yeah, the podcast, man, just, you know, there's like small things like that, I mean, are happening that aren't really like, you know, like this year we're doing like Rolling Loud in LA. Like they're actually paying us to do interviews there, which is cool.
You're going to have like an activation there and stuff?
I don't know, man. I just know that the homie Tarek, who owns Rolling Loud, hit me and he's like, I need you doing what you do at my spot. And they offered me a bag and I was like, yeah, let's go.
That's fire. We actually applied to do media for them, and we're trying to do like a custom mag like this. We did for Big Hit for Rolling Loud, man. So Tarek, if you watching, man, we trying to do that for you, and we come in with it.
Shit, that shit's coming. Shit's like a month away.
Yeah, about a month and a half away. Yeah,
it's March 15th.
Right.
So yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I just want to launch a new YouTube channel, and then I want to kind of just do some new content ideas this year that aren't necessarily like super like sit down based.
Yeah.
In terms of guys I want to interview this year, I really want to get a Chris Brown interview this year.
Have you ever interviewed before? No.
But he knows I fuck with him because he's used my. He used a clip from one of my interviews talking about him for the rollout for us. Not this last album, the album before.
Nice.
So I think Chris Brown would be dope. I want to interview Devin Booker this year. I want to interview. Who else do I want to talk to, man? A lot of sports guys. I just talked with Max Crosby from the Raiders. But yeah, that's it, man. You know, just trying to level up, stay consistent. So,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much for rocking with us, man.
Of course.
You know, we going on our 10th issue. This is a big, big anniversary issue for us, man. So it's Bootleg Kev.
Yes,
and
sir.
Alexcis on the next one. Pofsky for UNDRGRND Magazine. We out.
My guy. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Boom.